Welcome back to Tabletop Thoughts. In today's episode, we are going to make a custom piece that is a Cyclops grave. Here is the 3D skull that we are going to be using for our piece. You may recognize it. I painted one of those recently on my channel. I'll put a card up in the corner to link to that. I'm also going to be adding these two plastic hands that I got from the Dollar General. First thing we need to do is lay these out on our piece of 1-inch XPS foam just to get an idea of where we're going to put everything. And then once we have an idea, we will kind of draw this mark out so we know how big of a piece we need, and we can begin to cut that out. Here I am going to take my alpha knife. I'll just extend the blade out pretty far, and I will just come in and kind of cut off the foam. As you can see, I'm kind of doing it on an angle. I want it to slope up towards the top. Later on you'll see where even with this, I think the slope is too much, and I'm going to come back and cut some of this off later because 1 inch is just really too much for something like this. Now that we have it cut out, I am going to take my Ulf knife and come back in, and I'm going to bevel the edge around the top of it, trying to get a better, so it's not such a hard edge. I want it to be like a natural slope, like you can see where it's rounded off over time. Now that we're done cutting the foam with the alpha knife, I came back in at this point with this sandpaper, and I smoothed out any of the rough edges or marks or nicks that I didn't want on it. You could probably skip this step because later on I am going to come back in and cover this with sculpt mold, and that's going to get rid of most of those edges anyway, so you could probably just skip this step entirely. Now that we're done sanding the block, I'm going to take a couple of pieces of the cut off XPS foam, and I'm going to use these as stones that will be placed underneath the hands to hold them up a little bit. So what I'm going to do now is lay everything out so I get an idea what it's going to look like, and then I will take the alpha knife and I will come back in and I will kind of shape the stones the way I want them so they lay flat, and I can glue them down to the foam. Now that we have everything prepped, what we are going to do is take sculpt mold, and we are going to put that over the entire top surface of this foam. I'm also going to use it to hold the pieces down for now. Later on I am going to come in with some clear like school glue and glue the pieces down, but for right now I'm just using the sculpt mold to hold it in place as I get everything organized and looking the way we want them. Here's where we're going to come in using this Elmer's washable clear glue and I am going to use that to glue down the hands so that they don't lift up off of the stones, especially since I couldn't get any kind of sculptor mold up there because I didn't want that on top of the rocks. Once the glue dries, I am going to come in using this Mod Podge and black paint mixture, and I am going to coat the entire model in it. That way it will seal the foam and give it a little strength, plus it will act as shadows and that for anything that we miss with paint later on. After we let it dry, we're going to come back in and do a dry brush with this gray paint. We're going to try to cover up most of this. As you're sitting here looking at this, you might notice that it looks slightly different than it did before. And I was looking at it, and it looked a little tall because it was 1-inch foam. So what I did was take my Proxxon and cut the base in half, and then I glued that onto a piece of foam board. And then I just took some more sculptor mold and put that around it to blend it in. And then I went ahead and then redid the black Mod Podge coating on top of that. When that dry brush is finished, we are going to take some more of that clear glue. We are going to add a little bit of isopropyl alcohol to it, and then I'm going to add some water, and I'm going to mix this up to make a mixture that I am going to apply to the areas on the terrain where I want flocking to be. So what this will do is give it a base for it to stick to when I go to flock. The isopropyl alcohol breaks up some of the water tension, so it flows a little bit better. That's the only reason I'm not using that. Once the glue mixture is applied to the terrain, I am going to place it in this kitty litter pail, and I am going to come in with some of this construction sand. It has everything from like smaller pebbles the whole way down to some fine sand, and we are just going to sprinkle this over the entire terrain. Everywhere that there was glue mixture applied, it should stick, and then everywhere where it wasn't, it should just fall off when we take in, give it a slight tapping when we're done. Once that completely dries, I will come in with this IPA that I have in a little spray bottle, and I am going to spray that over all of the stone train. This IPA will break up the water tension in anything that we add on afterward, which is right now we are going to take some of this Elmer's glue all, put that into a cup, and then add water to it till it's about a 50-50 mixture. We are going to apply this to terrain, and this will allow us to add a grass flocking onto it next. At this point, I got tired of trying to apply this glue mixture using the paintbrush, so I just went ahead and started dribbling it out of the cup directly onto the terrain wherever I wanted to place the grass flocking. As you can see, where it hits, it kind of spreads out. That's the IPA breaking up the water tension. With our glue water mixture applied, we will put the train back into the kitty litter pail, and we will apply this Woodland Scenics fine turf green grass. We will just shake it over the entire train in here, and then we will just tap off the excess and put it back into the container. Now we're going to take and make up another glue water mixture. We'll mix that up real nice and fine, and then we'll come back in with the spray IPA, and we will spray down the grass that we have now. We're going to apply this new glue water mixture on top of that, and then we're going to come in with a new flock. This one is one that I got from, I believe, Temu. I have no idea who makes it or anything like that. It was just dirt cheap. But we will apply that on top of this. That way we'll have different colors, different texture, so it looks more like realistic grass. While our flocking is drying, we are going to take this ivory color from Ceramcoat. We will put some of this onto our paper plate. Taking a dry brush, I get these makeup brushes from the dollar store. We are going to go over the skull and the hands with this ivory color. This will give us a foundation to make it look more like it's bone and less like it is rock. Once the flocking is dry, we are going to take some super glue, and what we are going to do is apply that to little spots on the model where we want to add some of this little tufts of grass and flowers and that I got. I bought these from Temu as well, so I don't know who makes them, but all we're going to do is come in, dab some super glue While it's still wet, we come in, we grab a flower, a tuft of grass, just apply it, hold it for a couple of seconds for it to start to attach. Once we've placed all of the flowers and grass that we want on here, I took it outside and gave it a couple of coats of a clear matte varnish just to help hold on all of the flock and keep any of the small pebbles or anything from breaking loose. But as you can see, I think it turned out pretty well. I would be quite happy to drop this on my table as a set piece for an encounter or as just a backdrop in a war game. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, check out the next video right here. It's packed with more great content. And as always, keep on gaming.